Welcome to Somali National TV.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on. I'm honored to be on.
We're very happy that we just visit you and then you just welcoming us. Can you tell us about, as a mayor, the Somali community population live here?
Well, we have a large new Somali population over the last probably 10, 15 years that have come into the community. Looking at the number based on the census numbers that we have, we're a community. The city of St. Cloud has a population of about 68,000. Of the city of St. Cloud, then the Somali population is probably close to between 5,000 and 6,000. But we're a regional area, so we have a daytime population for the city of St. Cloud of about 168,000 people who come into the city on a daily basis to work, to play, to shop, to go to school. We have a college, we're a university city. We have 30,000 university students in the region between St. Cloud State University, St. John's, St. Ben's, and St. Cloud Technical College. So we are a place there are more people here during the day than there are in the overnight, but we're a growing community and have been growing for a long time. So we have a new Somali population. As a new meaning, to me, anything is new that's been less than 20 years. So over the last 15 to 10 years, and there have been a growing aspect of the community and thriving and welcoming.
Well, we have seen some article news that coming from St. Cloud, in your state, talking about the Somali staff that you're not welcoming and all that stuff. Things. Can you talk about that?
Well, there's a recent article that I read in a Twin Cities paper that I disappointed in, actually, not only in the headline but in the article itself, because I actually interviewed with that same newspaper for close to 2 hours, I think, and was not quoted once. And I talked a lot about what the community has done to be a welcoming community. I talked about a lot of the success stories. We have a number of Somali members of our community that are great success stories, not only in education but in business and in a number of aspects that love the community, and we have a growing community. Communities that are growing are welcoming. There are a lot of communities in the world that are not growing, and they're not growing because they're not in the same. There are examples in every city in the world of people that are not welcoming. Those are individuals. That's not government. The city has a zero tolerance for any aspect of discrimination. We are welcoming to all, and that's from the government aspect. But the community. And disappointing when I read the article because the headline said St. Cloud, and I consider myself St. Cloud. I consider anybody who lives in St. Cloud St. Cloud. It's a community as a whole, and I hear stories every day of people who are thriving in this community, and that's including members of the Somali community that may have been here for weeks, or may have been here for years, or may have been here over a decade, to folks that have come from all over the world. It's a growing community, so we welcome that. We have a zero tolerance for discrimination. We have a welcoming and respect for all in this community. So when I see that, and especially when I see articles that focus on that, what I consider a small portion of a community, it's something that we wouldn't want in any community. But you can't avoid that piece. But there are hundreds and thousands of stories that are positive and welcoming and thriving, and that's what we, and we also have to live for today and move forward. We could dwell on I could dwell on stories that are 5, 10, 7 years old. At some point, you have to get past that, and at some point, you have to focus. But again, I would challenge people to talk to people in the community on the streets on how they are welcomed in the community, and we continue to build on that. But it's everyone's responsibility to do that. It's not, it's only light can drive out darkness. It was the words of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. So it's the positive thing that I'd love to see all kinds of positive stories in the same publication, because I could give examples of those that I see on a daily basis.
Well, this afternoon, you invited your office, a delegate from the mayor office in Mogadishu. So how do you feel when they just talking to you about in Somali and all that stuff? What do you feel, and what did you get from them?
Well, I think it's great. It's an opportunity to have a dialogue and to have an opportunity for economic development. I'm always looking at opportunities to create create jobs. And jobs are, if we can look at what often starts as the cultural exchange, and certainly as you have a growing community with a new opportunity for the cultural exchange that exists. It's the economic piece that keeps the prosperity of both cities, and I think that's an important aspect. I've been fortunate enough to be able to travel all over the world, and I've actually met with mayors of a lot of cities. So I'm always particularly supportive when representation of municipalities, and particularly cities beyond our size, and to learn where we can learn from each other. The challenges of all cities in the world are very similar. The solutions are different. So if we can have ways of creating economic opportunities and partnerships, I think that's great for the community.
What do you think about the sharing, the economic-wise and cultural-wise, the city of St. Cloud and the capital of Mogadishu and something like that? And do you think in the future to travel somewhere around that?
Oh, I mention this because if somebody, be careful when you ask me, invite me to something, because I always take people up on their invitation. But no, at some point, absolutely. But I think it's an opportunity if you can share, especially from an economic, anything that benefits, as long as there's a mutual benefit and economic prosperity, and you don't make those connections unless there is. Those are opportunities that you can't pass by for any community. And so I welcome that and look forward to accepting that invitation. So no, it was a great dialogue, and it's a great opportunity. And as I mentioned, one of the things that I'm as somebody who studies history and understands even current situation, most jobs created in this country, 70% come from folks that are new and the new immigrants to a country and to a community. And job creation is always the most important aspect of any city, is having the opportunity for people to provide for their families, and that doesn't happen without some type of economic opportunity. So if we can expand that opportunity and learn, and the world's becoming smaller and smaller, so anytime you can do that, even beyond our nation's borders, to learn. We've done that in the past, and we've had many success stories in that. So look forward to continuing success in that piece.
Well, thank you for inviting us. The last question, by looking the camera, Ms. Mayor, just what you're gonna send it to since the Somali media here, and also the community, the largest community Somalis are in your city. Most of them are going to school, and new immigrants coming. What message are you going to send them through the camera?
Well, when speaking to folks, I welcome, first of all, welcome to the community, and this is a thriving community that we're glad you're part of, and we're happy to see the opportunity that everyone in this community should have. I tell people one of the aspects of government, because I'm as a mayor, I represent the city's government piece of it, but we're servants. The city is you. The city is not me, and don't rely on as mayor, Dave Kleiss just fixed everything for everybody, because the way everything works is to when everybody engages. And I will mention this to everyone watching, as I mention on a regular basis: get to know your neighbors. Get to know people that's in your neighborhood, and when I say neighbors, I'm talking about everybody in the community. I do this, and I give this invitation on a regular basis. I set that example myself. Every time I speak, I tell people, if you don't know me, call my office, and we'll set up a time, and I'll cook you dinner at my home. But the only caveat is I can't know who you are to begin with. And I would challenge people to do that themselves. There's no more comfortable area of sanctuary than in your home. So if you're willing to invite someone into your home, you're willing to have a dialogue, you're going to create a better neighborhood. I keep that same philosophy. If you're willing to invite someone into your community, you're going to and have a dialogue, you're going to have a better community.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. Yeah.